You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
Welcome to the podcast, my friends. Welcome to the podcast again. And I say again because I just spent about 18, 19 minutes recording this episode that you're about to hear. And I realized I made a very rookie amateur mistake, and my microphone was on mute. So with that being said, I am going to choose to see this as a blessing, and that it gives me an opportunity to maybe share a little bit better or give you some more insight that I didn't on the episode you will never hear because the audio wasn't on. So with that being said, I want to welcome you to episode 589 here. I'm super I'm happy to to come at you with another episode because I just got back from the Wilderness Resort Lodge in Orlando, Florida. Very cool. We ended up renting a cabin out there. Took the family and my sister's family to Magic Kingdom. My parents were there. So first time my parents got to travel with all of their grandkids. And so that was a cool experience to just kind of disconnect and, spend some quality time with the family. I've also been a Cincinnati Bengals fan since I was about 4 years old, believe it or not, probably the only Bengals fan born and raised in Miami, and finally got to see them win in the playoffs. So that was fun. That was cool. But aside from that, there's several things I want to kind of share with you on today's episode. So my apologies in advance if it's a little bit all over the place. I'll do my best to kind of tie my thoughts together and keep it all connected. But Steve and I are getting ready to co-lead our Ascend Mastermind retreat. So this is a retreat that we do 3 times a year. Here in South Florida, we alternate between Miami and West Palm Beach. So all of next week we'll be in we'll be in West Palm Beach with our 2 groups. And then in June, well, for the first time, we're taking the show outside of the country. We're going to Punta Cana at a 5-star all-inclusive resort with all of our members and their families. So just so looking forward to these retreats because so much impact and connection and we go so deep. And I'm so grateful and fortunate that I get to run a business and work with people that I just genuinely look forward to working with. I remember a lasting impression was made on me over a decade ago by a gentleman who I met who just very successful by most people's standards and very happy individual. And what I perceive to be just a really healthy work-life balance, if that's even a thing, right? And there's a whole debate over does balance even exist, but that's neither here nor there. And one of the things he shared with me, he's like, Alex, sometimes I pinch myself that I get paid the amount of money I get paid to work with the people I get to work with, because these are people I would want to interact with for free, much less get paid all this money. And that really left an impression on me. And that he didn't just fall into that. It was by design. It was by intention. It was by focus. It was by clarity that he was able to create a business that he genuinely got joy and fulfillment from. And that he looked forward to connecting with people. I know coaches in the real estate space that dread it, that are successful and they get paid a lot of money to coach people, but they don't look forward to those calls. They don't look forward to hopping in front of their community and sharing. That's not success for me. They might make a lot of money, but by my definition of success, that doesn't qualify. So when it comes to Ascend and when it comes to this podcast, when it comes to a lot of things I get to do, sometimes I got to pinch myself because it's just cool. We've recently onboarded just some incredible entrepreneurs into our community. And I have that same feeling where I kind of pinch myself where I'm fortunate and I'm grateful that I get to work with these people. And that's the kind of feeling that I want for you. And if that's lacking in your business, don't beat yourself up over it. Don't feel guilty about it, but start to design on paper, start to design in your head and then transfer it on paper. What would your business look like if it could look any which way? If you could wave a magic wand at your business, what would that need to look like? By the way, this is a very similar process that we take our Ascend members through when it comes to creating a vision for your life. Now, it's much more in detail. It's much more in depth, and there's a very detailed, specific process we walk our members through to design their ideal life. But the same applies to your business. I've always been somebody that, whenever I do something, generally speaking, I ask myself, what's the desired outcome? Why am I doing this? What am I hoping to gain from it? Who am I hoping to become in the process? What is the goal at the end of this? So just a few things I wanted to share with you as far as that's concerned. The other thing I wanted to share with you is I was recently on a coaching call, and this has actually come up on a few different occasions with some different people where they got involved in partnerships that it wasn't what they ultimately expected. And there's a few takeaways without getting into the specifics of those, situations, because obviously that's confidential. I want to kind of speak from a macro, big picture when it comes to striking deals with people, when it comes to partnerships, when it comes to negotiating joint ventures. I believe now more than ever that the best deals are the deals where everybody feels good about it and it still makes sense. To me, those are the best deals. The best deals aren't the ones that you walk away thinking like I crushed, I killed it on that deal. And then the other person definitely doesn't have that feeling, or maybe they think they have that feeling, and then in time they realize they don't, and then things end up blowing up. Now, there's a lot of practical things you can do to mitigate against that ever happening. But what it really boils down to at the end of the day is failed partnerships usually boil down to a lack of expectations not being met. Expectations not being met. In one particular situation, I was on this call and there was an operating agreement that clearly spelled out the split, the equity, the cash flow, the breakdown. And yet when I initially was told what the deal looked like on paper and what was communicated to that person, my first instinct and what I asked this person is, why do you think that person would accept that deal? I mean, it was just such a lopsided transaction in one person's direction that my initial thought was, why would they do that? There's got to be more to it, because the numbers clearly don't make sense for this person. They're making X investment and it's going to take them many, 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 many years just to break even. So what am I missing? And, that person told me, they said, I don't know why they did it. And I said, it's interesting. I said, even though on paper you did everything right, you have an operating agreement spelled out. If you get involved in a deal with somebody, particularly somebody that you have a relationship with, and you ask yourself, why would that person do it? It's important that you ask that question. It's important that because we all know what something says on paper. It's black and white, but that person interpreted what was in black and white differently than what it actually was. And I think it's, it just highlights the importance of the best deals are the ones where everybody feels good about it and expectations are discussed up front and expectations are met on a continual basis. One of the things I do with my wife, one of the things I do with Steve, with anybody I have a meaningful relationship with, Steve and I, obviously business partnership with Ascend. Secondly, first friendship. My wife, obviously we're married, is every now and then, and I try to be more consistent with this, is I do a check-in. Hey, how are things on your end? I don't want to assume just because I feel everything's going great, I don't want to assume that you feel that. So a check-in works, right? And there's a lot of other practical things that you can do here, but at the end of the day, I really want you to strive to put together deals where everybody feels good about it, where it's a no-brainer for everybody involved. And then if you're going to work with people, any type of relationship you're in, establish expectations up front. And then do a follow-up, do a check-in every so often to make sure that, everybody's expectations are being met, to ensure that if there's any issues, it gets addressed and squashed up front. So that's super, super important. Now, completely transitioning and I'll do my best to try to tie these together. But one of the things that I have realized about myself, and the reason I want to kind of share this story with you, is you might take something away from it, and I'm very fortunate that many people listen and download this podcast, and sometimes it just kind of blows me away how much it's grown, and I think it's grown because of, I think, what I perceive, what people have told me, my authenticity, my transparency, and the consistency that they know every Monday and Thursday a show is going to get released. I think those are, some of the main reasons I think that this show, is still going and it's successful. And in light of being transparent, one of the things I've realized is that there's a pattern that I've fallen into over the course of the last probably year, maybe longer, that I just recently discovered on one of my, you guys have, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you've probably heard me say that every Wednesday morning, I have a standing mastermind call with two really close friends of mine who are entrepreneurs in different spaces. And these mastermind calls, sometimes it's a check-in, sometimes it's an update, many times it's, hey, I need some accountability. Other times it's, hey, here's a challenge. Like, what's your perspective? What's your feedback? What's your insight? Sometimes it's goals and we need that push, sometimes it's collaboration. Nothing is off the table on these calls, right? It could be about life, or it could be about business, or anything in between. It could be about parenting. And sometimes I hop on these calls and I'm usually pretty clear about what I want to give and what I want to extract. Sometimes I'm there just to give. Other times I'm there to give and to extract because maybe there's a challenge I'm going through. This particular call, which was a couple of weeks ago, I didn't necessarily have like a challenge per se, but I felt something gnawing at me. I had started but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And in discussing it with these guys, I realized that the pattern is that when I want something, I get clarity on it. I write it down. I have focus. I act in faith. I move forward towards the achievement of that goal. Most of the time, I accomplish it. And then when that carrot is gone, the pendulum swings the other way. And I realized, 75 hard was an example I shared with them, where last year, my weight had kind of gone up to like an area where I had never been, like 172, 173. And for me, that was pretty high. I was always around 160. And I knew I could shed that weight, but I wasn't feeling great about how I was looking. And I was tired of accepting mediocrity in this area of my life. I certainly wasn't living my vision in this area of my life. And so my all or nothing type mentality, the burn the ships, let's dive right in and do this and fix this, I decided to take on the challenge of 75 hard. I successfully accomplished that challenge. I lost 13 pounds in that process. I got more kind of cut and shredded and kind of more of that body I was looking for, which, I had years ago. And then I took it a step further and accomplished phase 1 of 75 hard, which was that much harder. And then once I accomplished that, I remember the day I finished 75 hard, I was hopping on a flight to Greece with my family, where we were going to 5 different islands over an 18, 19-day period. And I remember just kind of feeling so good about myself because of what I accomplished and how I was feeling. And, there was this milestone. But then, months later, that carrot was gone. And some of those habits stuck, like reading every day. Just certain things really, really stuck with me, but others didn't. And now I've kind of the pendulum has gone the other way, where I'm not quite 172, 173, but I'm not far from it. And I'm certainly not feeling and looking like I was 4 or 5 months ago. So I'm starting to ask myself questions like, what do I need to do so that it's more sustainable? By the way, that I can also share with you a few examples in business, with storage. I got into it, I didn't come out of the gate with the success I thought I would. And it was because I wasn't putting in the work. And then 2-3 months later, I said, I'm going to commit myself to this. I did. Fast forward 5-6 months, closed on that first facility in Mississippi, 43,000 square foot facility. And there's been a lot going on in the last 2-3 months, but I haven't really made progress towards that second deal. And it's because I hadn't put in that work. And I was thinking to myself, well, there's that pattern again, right? All or nothing, going all in, accomplishing it, seeing it through, and then the pendulum swings the other way. So I'm kind of coaching myself through that. I'm getting coached through this process, but I share that with you because you might glean something from it. You might take something away. So if my story, if me being open about this pattern, this pendulum swinging, this hot cold type of scenario I have found myself in different areas of my life, I think it could be valuable for you because you might be going through that. And if so, I'm going to be revealing in the upcoming episodes how I'm going to break out of that pattern. And I think just talking it through, there's a level of accountability here, knowing that tens of thousands of people are going to hear this and listen to this. So just the fact that I know that there's a level of accountability. Number two, again, if I'm going through it, you might be going through it. Maybe there's another pattern in your life. And I think just asking yourself questions, the right questions, talking to the right people, seeking accountability from the right people, and then identifying it. And then the second step is, okay, what are you going to do about it? Right? How are you going to change this? How are you going to grow from this? That's really where the juice and I think the marrow of life oftentimes comes from. It's in the challenges, it's in the trials, the tribulations, the fire you sometimes have to go through. Sometimes it's a small fire, and other times it's a huge fire, and you have no idea how you're going to run through it, or get around it, or go over it, or under it. But I think it's important to have that awareness, to ask yourself and kind of self-evaluate. I talk about the check-in earlier on in the podcast. Sometimes you got to check in with yourself. Hey, the different areas of my life, you think of the 6 F's: faith, family, finances, fun, friends, fitness. Rate yourself 1 to 10. Where are you in those areas? Rank them. What's most important in my life? Is it family? Is it faith? Is it fitness? Is it finances? Rank them top to bottom, and then rate yourself 1 to 10 and focus on the ones where there's the biggest delta. Start to ask yourself some of these questions. You're going to gain that awareness about yourself. So that's what I got for you. So appreciate you for hearing me out. Hopefully this had some sort of impact on you. And if not, that's cool. I'll continue to plug in. I'm sure at some point I'll get you. And but if you did get value from this, it would mean the world if you could leave a 5-star rating and review. It really helps the algorithm in Apple Podcasts, helps me reach more people. And then also if you could just share this with family and friends, because the show is growing, and I credit that to you. And I'm here without anything to sell you. I want to genuinely help you in your life and business. So look forward to connecting with you on the next podcast. Take care. All right, my friend, I hope you enjoyed that Flip Empire episode and got a lot of value out of it. Make sure to check the show notes page for any resources that were mentioned. And speaking of resources, honestly, I don't think I've done the best job of sharing with you my top curated, highly recommended tools and resources that I use in my business or have used in my business. In some cases, these are affiliate relationships with people that I highly trust and respect. And I know these tools and resources can help you and your business go to the next level. And as an ethical bribe, if you decide to try out one of these resources using my link, I will go ahead and send you an unadvertised bonus. I'll send you something of high value. All you got to do is shoot me an email, alex@flipempire.com. Go ahead and let me know that you tried out this resource, and however I can help you getting started with that. Chances are that I know it very, very well and currently use it or have used it. So make sure to check that out, flipempire.com/resources. And if I can be of help or service to you in any way, just shoot me an email, alex@flipempire.com, and I will do anything I can for you. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next show.